The latest darling of the eternally intolerable indie RPG scene is Shadowdark, a retro clone in a long series of retro clones based on basic expert D&D. It is a part of the old-school renaissance, or at least it tries to be. The game is wildly successful, mostly due to the marketing prowess of the creator, who has far more to offer in that department than in that of game design. She is a lesbian, though, so her game is beyond reproach. You cannot insult it. And after all, it made something like $1 million on Kickstarter, so that refutes any aspersions cast on its quality. What can even be said against it? Let alone that she paid off Questing Beast and similar shills to talk about the game. Let alone that the only attempt at an original mechanic is that of real-time tracking, where for every 1 hour of playing the game, you lose a torch. Apparently, this quote-unquote idea merited an entire 300-plus page role-playing game. Shadowdark is the RPG equivalent of the concept of "this meeting could have been an email." And it really is. It really is just a bog-standard retro cologne with the addition of the 5th D&D advantage and disadvantage system to pander to that crowd. To some extent, the rolling randomly for little quirks is nice. This game certainly is playable, but it does nothing interesting that isn't also available in Knave or Cairn or Old School Essentials. In fact, it has far, far less to offer than something like Adventurer Conqueror King system, which has entire subsystems for many, many different dimensions of role-playing, in business and in domain rulership. Shadowdark has nothing to offer there, just some random tables and an original showpiece mechanic that isn't even original at all. It's a functional retro clone, but nothing special. Yet, it got shilled by the worthless, glad-handing new OSR YouTuber community. It got shilled on Reddit, most certainly, where all the balding, pudgy soys were over-eager to hand over money from their do-nothing jobs to a brave lesbian woman. And so it made $1.3 million. And of course, any criticism of the game can thus be dismissed as sour grapes. But while Kelsey and her quote-unquote wife, at least by the standards of modern positive society, can walk away winners, the tabletop RPG community walks away losers. Everyone who supported this game and helped it win multiple Emmy Awards is helping to degrade the tabletop hobby into a pathetic compromise between low-effort OSR hipsters and drooling hordes of 5th edition players brainwashed by experience points to level 3 and other degenerate pop YouTubers. All of these games that are just D&D, except watered down, D&D but with pieces removed, do not require any real creativity to produce. They are hollow and worthless. They are just pretty fonts and pretty art and nice page arrangement. That's really all that Shadowdark is, plus some random character generation tables. Yet it receives adulation. Why? No one can give any solid reasoning. No one can explain why this is good. Yes, it brings more 5e retards into the OSR. Why is that good? No one can give a reason. Yes, a lesbian woman made a lot of money. That is cool. Who fucking cares? Besides her, who benefits from that? This bizarre cuckoldry of wanting to quote-unquote throw money at someone as much as possible because you agree with their sexuality is bizarre and pathetic. And the fact that these clueless morons think that this is the first game to have quick character creation, quick combat, and little to no prep work required on the part of the Dungeon Master, or Game Master, or Shadow Master, or Shadowkeeper, or whatever the fuck hipster-ass name Kelsey came up with for her special snowflake game, is ridiculous as well. Just about everything they ascribe to Shadowdark can also be ascribed to Basic Expert, a game that's more than 40 years old, just slightly less accessible, as long as you're discounting the dozens upon dozens of retro clones that weren't written by a lesbian. There's really not much to directly criticize about Shadowdark, as its best features are directly lifted from Basic Expert. The rolling for spellcasting already exists in tons of retro clones. Plenty of them also have formalized ability check systems, even if that doesn't really fit the OSR ethos, but this game is for those who don't really give a shit about that. It's for 5E players. It is baby's first OSR system. And that is fine. But why in the hell is it making so much money and also being so popular? And worst of all, why is it being discussed by so many OSR YouTubers and bloggers as if it has any merit or anything original to add? That is the problem now, that the OSR space is clogged with so many fat beard-stroking wannabe philosophers with the most trite and entry-level opinions that a game like this actually ends up being widely discussed. Listen to enough from OSR influencer types and you'll see. Shadowdark's success is an indictment of how fucking retarded the modern TTRPG community really is.